What's up, everybody? How are you doing this fine Thursday evening? Today, you guys know, is a super special day because we are going to be watching Vector actually impression a key for, I don't know, one of these locks. He's got a pile of locks, but yeah, we got time for questions. So if anybody has any questions, please throw them in the chat. We would like to hear from you if you have any questions. And I sent links out to a couple different people. If they pop in and show up and have any what do they call that? Little nuggets of wisdom that they'd like to impart, that'd be great. But for the most part, Vector's going to take over and show us exactly like how to fully impression. And Vector, I think as you're going, I'm going to try to hunt down links for everything because I couldn't find my links that I'd had back in the day for all this stuff, especially that file. The file's the most important part. So I'm going to hunt down links and I'll add it into the description. And if anybody else has any specific links, send it to me on Discord so I can post it in the description so people can snag up all these tools if they would like to do impressioning as well.
Hey, Lockchuck, just to let you know, I have push to talk enabled, so no scraping files today.
Yeah, Vector's got this whole thing figured out. He literally has screen and screen. He's got some cool overlays he's got and everything. I'm super excited. But welcome in Raking Raccoon and Rock Out with your lockout. Picksmith is here. You're gonna break another lock. No, I am not doing any of this. And Wild William is here. Laughs. Welcome in, AJ. Elijah's here. I knew I smelled trouble. And Lockchuck is here. Welcome, guys. Who else? I seen somebody say hi to Delbert. Where's Delbert at? I didn't see Delbert. Okay, welcome in, Delbert. Wild William. Unhinged Lockpickers here. Stu's here. What's up, Stu? And Black Smoke Joe. All right. So Vector, why don't you start us off by telling us a little bit about like what the hell even is impressioning? What's the point of impressioning at all?
Well, what's the point? It's fun. So what we're going to be talking about today is called hard key impressioning. There's other methods you can use, but what we're focusing on today is starting with a blank key blank and a keyless lock, and then we're going to use the lock to make marks on the key to let us know how much material to remove, and then
So cool.
hopefully eventually it opens.
Yeah,
so
this is really cool. I think impressioning is very, very neat. It can be difficult. Some people
feel
do
like
it
a
in
wizard
seconds.
once you
yeah, you
do it once.
Yeah, you do. And then till you send your lock to your approved person to check it, and he goes, "Oh, that's great," and then it quits working, and then you feel like a big jerk.
Let's get our focus there. So we're going to start off here with this US lock. I'm going to talk a little bit about what I'm not an expert on this. So one of my black belt quests was impressioning a lock. I see Picksmith is in chat. Picksmith actually sent me a kind of like a kit working through like a wafer lock and some other stuff to figure out how to do this, and I really enjoyed it. And so once I got the quest done, I impressioned every single keyless thing I had in my collection. So I've been trying to encourage other people to do this quest. So my goal here is not to say that I'm the expert on how to do this, because I'm clearly not, is just show some of the things I learned, some of the tools I use, and maybe help answer some questions. I have a microscope camera that we'll be able to switch to. Let me bring this up real quick. See, check that out. So there's the top of our key there. So I'll be using this microscope camera to show like what marks look like and what to look for. So I'm just really hoping that like this view plus some Q&A and even people in the audience that probably know a whole lot more than me about impressioning, that we can get some good content to encourage people to give this a try, because it is a lot of fun.
Yeah, it is a lot of fun. It's hard work, but that's what makes it even more fun, because I'll tell you what, when I finally did get my lock open, I almost fell out of my chair because I was
Right.
so happy. You know, it's like the more work you put in, the more of a reward you get. And it's just something really cool that I think people don't realize you could even do, is actually just make an actual key for a lock without having anything but a key blank and some files, you know? So
Right.
very cool.
Um, so things that helped me learn how to impression were a couple of YouTube channels. There's a community member whose name is Rubber Band, Banned. Um, he makes a tool that I'm going to show you all later, and they have some great tutorials. Fish Picks also has some great tutorials. I think Bosnian Bill has a couple of videos on impressioning, and there's a couple others out there. They actually get like really in depth on the theory of it. So I'm just trying to give a high level overview, tell you all what I understand about the process, show you some of the tools I've acquired. No blast and bypass. You were promised a cursed lock, not an ankle. So speaking of cursed locks, lady locks, Loose Shirt sent that cursed 600 with barrels to Side Picks.
How did Side Picks do?
To quote Side Picks, he says, "That one's a doozy."
That's a nice way to put it. Sure.
Okay, so let's see right here. So the main rules I have up here are in the top left. Only file marks. File in one direction. You want consistent pressure on your file and lift your file while moving to the end of the stroke. We'll get into why here in a little bit. And resist the urge to use too much tension. And be sure to set up your fore and aft rocking. I'll get that to a little bit. And you only really need to rock a few times for each attempt. So I'll get into the tools here in a minute, but you need something to hold your key firmly, and you need something to hold the lock firmly, because what you're trying to do is transfer a little bit of force from bound pins. Remember, because we pick locks, we know what a binding pin is, right? From bound pins to the key. So you need something to hold the lock firmly, because any force you apply lifting up and down, if the lock is wobbly, you're not going to get very good force applied through the pins to the tip of the pin to the top of your key. And similarly, if you don't have a good grip on your key as you're moving, the thing holding your key will flop around. Could you impression with just your fingers? Probably, maybe. I don't know. I can't. So I need some tools. I started off using my regular Bessie vise, and it worked well enough for mortises and some padlocks and some Euros, but after a while of just using that vise for picking locks, the threads just had so much play in it. Anytime I'd put a little bit of force on here, the whole thing would flop around, and that got a little frustrating. So what I did is I modified my Bessie vise to just put a small rig straight on top of it. I have a cut piece of bicycle inner tube on the ball right there. And then my desk is nice and smooth, so the vacuum base works. So this clamps down, and it does not go anywhere. Wow. See, I can put some serious force on this thing, and it doesn't go anywhere. So you're just trying to limit some degrees of freedom there. Some people that are really into impressioning, someone has put together a part list of like some jaws and I think a 90-degree adapter that clamps to the edge of the desk that some people use. And padlocks, sometimes you can hold on to the padlock in your hand. You'll wear yourself out after a little bit. Let's see. So how to hold on to the key. If you're going to use vice grips, I recommend vice grips really no bigger than these. These are about 5.5 inches, 6 inch. I forget how they get sized when they sell. When you go to clamp the key with your vice grips, remember how I said you don't want the whole thing rocking around. So you want to grab as close to the face of the lock as you can without. You see, if I bite too much here, I grab to the back right there, so I can't get right there. So I'm gonna back this up. And if I was going to use vice grips to impression, This is, that's where I'd grab it, except I'd do it a little straighter. And I'd probably tighten this a little more. So that way we get a good, good clamp on it. Like that. So there we go. So that key is not going anywhere in those vice grips. If you have larger vice grips, you can use them. It's just, let me pull up my rules here. Resist the urge to use too much tension. Tension is not what makes the marks. It is the rocking. So similar to picking lock, if you put too much tension on it, you're just going to bind everything and you're not going to be able to pick everything. So if you tension too much while you're trying to impression, you're going to suffer a similar fate. So these smaller vice grips help you avoid too much tension. The tool that I'm going to show here in a little bit has an arm that sticks out, and it's actually kind of easy to apply too much tension right here. The vice grips, it's kind of hard to apply too much tension. Okay, so any questions yet? I don't think so. Yeah, exactly. If you start bending your key, you know you're using too much force. So the general theory of operation here is, assume this is held very tightly in my vise here. I'm holding this in my hand so I can show you guys what's going on. We're going to stick our key in, and we're either going to lift up on the back or push down on the back. And what you're trying to do is get that key in there at an angle like this or an angle like this. And once you have your angle set, then you apply some tension, and then you deliberately rock the key up and down. Now, this is where I say you only need to rock a few times, because we're applying tension, and as we rock with the tension, unless the key pin's set, they're going, like, as I rock from here to here, when I lift with the key, those drivers are going to be stuck up there. So that first rocking motion is like really where you get your mark. So you only need to do that a couple of times. You don't need to do it 10 times or anything like that. 2 to 4, whatever makes you feel good. And you need to do it both ways. So you insert the key, lift the back like this, tension, rock, and then you insert the key, lift the front of the key, tension, rock, and then you look for marks. We'll go into later what marks look like. So that's the basic theory of operation is you need something firm to hold the lock, you need something firm to hold the key, and we're trying to apply a little bit of tension to bind the key pins and rock the key up and down, because it's the rocking motion that gets us the marks, not our tension, and then we look for marks. Lock Chuck says, I like doing 2 left and 2 right. Yes, I've done that on locks where I've gotten stuck going a certain direction. I've switched directions with tensioning. I've also impression just completely going clockwise, because that feels comfortable to me. And certainly when you're doing padlocks, like a master lock, you can still tension going that way. The lock won't move much, but you can still try to get some marks going that way.
Now, are you going to do anything to prepare your key blank?
Yes, we'll get there in a minute. I'll finish talking through the rest of these tools here. So we talked about something to hold the key. Bare minimum you need is like some vice grips or something. Magnification helps. This is what I started with. I now have this cool USB microscope that we're going to use, but this is a 3X. I call them cheaters at work, because I do some like electronics and soldering, and I'll use these when I'm looking at stuff. So I'll keep these in my head for checking things out. And then if I need to zoom in, I have a kind of like this monocle loop that I can hold in front of my eye and take a look. The next thing you're going to want to do is make sure you have good lighting, because some of these marks only show up when you're at like a certain angle with the light, unfortunately. So you're going to want to make sure that LED lights are great, especially with diffusers on them. You definitely want one with diffuser, because you can control the temperature of the light and the magnitude of the light. Dick says it's actually the combination of tension and rocking leaving marks. Well, yes. I mean, if you tension only, you're not going to get much. If you rock only, you're definitely not going to get much. You need to tension, then rock. All right, so that's that. I'm not going to be using these because I have the USB microscope and I also have headphones on my head so I can hear what's going on. But these are dirt cheap on Amazon. This is what I've impressioned a lot with. If you have good young eyes, you might not even need them. But I can't see small stuff as well as I used to be. Okay, so we got our lock. Next, you need some key blanks. I get my key blanks a loop with the light. So loop is spelled L-O-U-P-E, and this is kind of a loop. A loop is run by handheld, where you can do something like that. This one is more meant to get in your eyeball socket, so that way you can, the Monopoly man, stick it on your eyeball. But L-O-U-P-E is the keyword that you would search for if you want one of those. And having like a little pen light can also help. Like if you're trying to look through magnification and see if light is reflecting off of like a little fleck of brass or something like that, that can also help. So here's a bunch of key blanks. I get mine from COK. There might be cheaper places, but these are a bunch of SC1s. We're going to impression in SC1, that's 5 pins. I do have a giant bag full of other key blanks, Master Lock, American Lock, Quickset, 5 and 6 pins, Yales, etc. But if they're not restricted keys, you can just go to COK or wherever and just order a bag of these. They're not terribly expensive. Then how does the magic work? Okay, so I want to talk about this tool roll first. I didn't set out all my tools because I want to talk about the tool roll. So you need some files if you're going to impression. And if you have files, especially ones that you've paid a little bit of money for, you want to store them in a manner where they don't touch each other. Because if this file starts banging up against this file, it's actually going to start marring the teeth of the file, and then the file is not going to be very effective. And then after a while, you're going to be sad because your nice Grobe file doesn't work anymore. So this is what I've got. So this is a rubber bands tool with a custom modification, some electrical tape around it. So this is what I'm going to be using tonight to hold the key. So it clamps in there, and this goes off the side. And this is what I mean. You can, with something like this, you can really accidentally tension too much. I put the electrical tape back here because the machined edges back here feel a little sharp in my palm. And if I'm working all afternoon impressioning stuff, it really hurts. So I put the electrical tape there to help. So we're going to use this for holding our key. We'll set that aside. We'll go from right to left. Decent set of calipers. Some people don't like doing this. Some people can impression without it, but Picksmith might recognize this. If you have a chart of all the depths and spaces, having a set of calipers can really help, because you can measure and know how close you are after filing to the next depth. In terms of key preparation, you can use the space measurements to take a Sharpie and make some marks going down the key of where the spaces are. Sometimes I like doing that, and then I'll take a Sharpie and I'll go straight down the sides, because it's helpful when you're filing to try to stay under the key pins. I'm gonna not do that today. We'll see if we're successful, because there's something else I want to show off. I use a needle file for starting my cuts. I essentially use this for making a small notch where each key pin is. And that's essentially very similar to using like a center punch or a pilot drill before you get out a big drill bit. So I make a little notch right here, which makes using the larger round files a little easier because my first few strokes can sit in the little notch that I make with this needle file. This is a Swiss cut needle file. Swiss cut means that the filing goes in a couple different directions. This one is pretty fine. I think this one is 4. So it's neat. I don't know what brand it is. I already had it. This is a pin vise, by the way. If you didn't know what this is called, it kind of has like a little chuck right there that you can use for holding things. And I'm just using it as a handle for this file. I've also used this for holding pins for making challenge locks. So don't think you need a danger lathe to make a challenge lock. All you need is a pin vise and some files. Okay, so now I have 2 files here. If you notice, I have one that I've taken a Sharpie and I've filled this with blue here because I have a number 2 and a number 4. Common recommendation, if you're going to buy just one file, get a number 4. It is a finer cut. The higher the number, the finer the cut. So this is a number 4 Grobe Swiss cut, and it is round. It is not a Pippin. Pippin is another profile that some people like. I just went with round. There are several manufacturers of Swiss cut files. I just recommend doing some research, finding one at the price point that you're willing to pay some money for, and going for that. I haven't tried any other brands. My 2 files here are Grobes. And this is a number 2. This one will cut a little quicker through the key, but you really need to be mindful of your pressure and your stroke. And the reason why I have this one colored blue instead of that one is because I can easily look down and know which file I'm getting, either the 2 or the 4, because otherwise you have to read some very small, hard to read text right there that says 2. And then a flat file is nice. I use this for when the, like if you're starting to get like some deep cuts here in the front of the key, sometimes it's nice to take a flat file and smooth that out a little bit because it makes inserting and extracting the key a little better. And that's about all that I use a flat file for, I think. I think this is a second cut bastard file. I forget how the flat files are named, but it's similar, has the cuts go in 2 different directions, and this is not a Swiss cut, so it's American style cut. I'm pretty sure this is a, yep, there we go, flat second cut. Files get a little weird. So these are the files. This is my measurement tool, and that's the space and depth chart right there that we might refer to later. And one of the things to keep in mind, environmentals, brass does have a little bit of lead in it. So don't go eat a sandwich after you've been filing keys, because you'll have little brass dust all over your fingers. I have a nice little desk here. I'm not in a workshop, so I use a couple paper towels down here to catch most of my shavings, because then I can just roll the whole thing up and it goes in the trash when I'm done. Something else that's handy to have, I have a couple scraps of 600 grit sandpaper here. I'm going to use this for polishing the top of my key. I'll talk through that in a minute because I'm going to have to take a break so that way I can get my stuff situated and then drink some water or something because I've been talking a lot.
All right. So anybody have any questions so far? Let's see. Yeah. Dick says a meal tray is awesome to keep your otherwise clean lock lab clean. And also, it's a great place to lose magnets, huh, Dick? Oh, goodness. Dick says he had a file, a magnifying jeweler glass, and a clamp. Oh, goodness. Yeah, the brass dust kind of gets on everything, so you got to keep that in mind when you're filing everything. Let's see. Yeah, Dick says they have a hard time getting key blanks. He says he has a better time getting rare locks than key blanks. Good old Dick with the rare locks. Yeah, we can get them pretty easily, key blanks here.
Well, you said that you were putting it in survival.
Yeah, brush. Yeah, toothbrush.
Well, you never said that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Sure.
My impressioning tool is one that I think Lockchuck made me. Didn't Lockchuck make me that? I want to say Lockchuck made that for me.
All right, so I'm going to switch to my microscope. I can speak microscope here. There we go.
Very cool.
So this is what the top of the key looks like. Like I said, you could measure out where the key pins are and mark them and avoid this step. What I'm going to do is I'm going to polish the top of this key, and the first marks we're going to get are going to tell me where the key pins are. So this is useful if you don't happen to have that handy little chart. See, I think it's Fish Picks in his video. He describes if you don't have the chart, a method by which you can, I can press the right button here. Oh, multitasking. A method by which you can figure out how many strokes it takes to move between cuts. For me, on the Schlegs, I know about 4 strokes of my number 2 will take me from one cut to the next. The number 4 really depends on how much pressure I'm applying, and it's a lot harder. But we'll try to talk through that. So what I like to do is I take the piece of sandpaper and I go to the edge of my desk. You're not going to see the edge of my desk, but a flat edge, and where's the top of my key? Right here. And just stroke back and forth right here. Try to keep it flat. Some people on harder locks will make a knife edge to help find the pins. But we're not going to do that. So I'm going to spend about a minute or 2 polishing this, and then we'll look at it back under the microscope. Okay. There is the polished key. It's kind of hard what we're seeing on the left there is very close to the keybow, so that's kind of hard to see. So the goal here is to level out as many of these imperfections as possible, so that way we can see where our key pins are. So this little bit towards the left, I'm going to spend a few seconds seeing if I can clean that up, because that's very close to where pin 1 is. Okay, now we've done a little better. Yeah, the camera's pretty cool, and I can adjust, it has its own light, so I can adjust the lighting intensity here. Let me raise this up so I have a little more space. Here. Sorry for the motion sickness, people. All right, so that's a little bit that I can't get to. I'm sure we'll be okay, because I'm pretty sure pin 1 is going to be right around there. So the rest of this is pretty clean. Let me get my light back. There we go. All right, so I've got my vise mounted very securely here. Going to put my victim in here, and we're going to try to get our first marks. I'm going to really make sure that that doesn't go anywhere. So like I said, we insert the key all the way. Right now I'm pushing the back down, which lifts the tip. Apply a little bit of pressure. And I rock. Now I'm going to do the opposite, where I lift the back, apply a little bit of pressure, and rock. And now I'm just trying to verify here. Keep on pushing the wrong button here. Let's see. See that right there? That's a mark. That's another one. That's another one. There's always one right there. 1, 2. Yeah, and that guy right there. See that little divot right there? That tells us where our key pins are. But like I said, normally I'm wearing my little headband thing so I can actually see them better. So I'm gonna do this again. See if I can see them with my naked eye now. All right. So what I'm doing now is I'm actually going to use my Sharpie to mark these, because I'm going to file my starting cuts here in a minute. Oh, this Sharpie is dead. Dead to me. So, yep. All right, where's another one? How about purple? Here we go. See me spinning my key around. I'm trying to get the right reflection off of the key pin mark.
Because I like the boots.
I can barely see that one. I think it's right there. My terrible eyes focus here. That looks about right. One of the things we can do now. So if you're marking this key ahead of time, right there, right? So we can double check some of our stuff here. So I get my first one at 225. It's supposed to be at 231. So yeah, that's about right. Next one is supposed to be at 387. Yep, that's about right. Next one is supposed to be at 543. Yep, that's about right. And the next one is supposed to be at 699. So my sharper marks are a little bit to the right of where the key pins are supposed to be. And then the last one is at 855, which is right. These last pins are a pain in the butt. They're like right where that lip is. Yeah. So LockTrack says sometimes wiping with your finger helps remove the black so the dimples show up. Probably going to show that later. As once you start filing, you get brass shavings everywhere, and sometimes you might have what you think is a mark, but it also just might be a brass shaving. And this is how you end up getting brass all over your fingers. You just take your fingers and just try to wipe all that away, and then if the mark persists, then it's probably a real mark and not a brass shaving that just happened to catch your eye. Yeah, AJ, if you've got the spacing and depth charts ahead of time, it certainly helps. Let me bring this back up real quick. So the depths on this chart are actually measured from the bottom of the key. So we're measuring this height right here, basing off of the bottom, not measuring that way. So we can see a zero cut is 335 thousandths, but our key is 341 thousandths. So this is a cut I typically like to make with my needle file. I'll just give it a few strokes and be close enough to a zero cut that we should be able to do something with it. And with my needle file, I normally start at the very, very tip to start the needle file cut. And then once that gets underway, then it's just a few full strokes. All right, I did not do a good job setting this up, but we will work with it today. So 4 and 5 are awfully close together. So there's ways to deal with this. When I start making cuts with the round files, I'll probably bias some of these cuts a little towards the back of the key, and we'll get there. All right, good night, AJ. And Dig is exactly right. The measuring is entirely optional. That's why I was showing how to mark the key pins with the polished edge. But I mean, if you have the data and you want to measure and at least make these initial cuts, that's completely fine. So let's, if you're going to check right there, see 335. What was my zero cut supposed to be? Does anyone remember? 335. All right, I had to put my headband on because I really have no idea how to look at these keys without my cheaters on my head. Sorry about that. Okay, so let's take a look at this under the microscope. So one of the pieces of advice I have, I don't know if you noticed while I was filing on this, towards the end of the stroke, and gently lift up. The reason why you don't want to stop the file on the key is because if you could look, you can see those striations right there and how they cleanly go in a straight perpendicular line across the key from, in this picture, it's from like top to bottom. If you were to stop the file and not lift off as you stroked, what you would get is an imprint of the file's cut pattern, which makes it incredibly difficult to find your marks. I'm going to give you an example of what that looks like here in a little bit. But this straight lines from left to right is what you want to do. And another important thing is always file in one direction. It doesn't mean the orientation of your key when you're filing, it's when you're operating the file, because the file is designed to cut as you push through. It's not designed to cut as you pull. So you always want to push. So this is what I mean by always file in one direction. So when you're filing, you apply even pressure with a nice regular stroke, and once you get towards the end of the file, you want to lift off because we want those nice perpendicular striations on the coarser cuts. The fine cut, the number 4, if you do it right, will actually give you a really, really nice shiny finish. And we'll take a look at that in a little bit too. So now I've got my cuts made. Some of them I made in a weird spot. We're gonna work through that because as we start finding marks on here and working through it, I'll be able to correct, and I'll deliberately make some filing mistakes to show you what they look like under the microscope, just to show you what the effects of that are. All right. There's my rules right here. So I'm going to resist the urge to use too much tension. Be sure to set up for fore and aft rocking and only rock a few times. So keys in, push down, tension, rock. Key in, lift up, tension, rock. And now we look for marks. And if you're unsure of any marks, there's nothing. What you do is you do that same thing again until you get a mark that you're sure of, because what you don't want to do is file a mark that you're unsure of. So you can always take away more metal. You can't put it back. So there's pin 1. Can you guys see that little divot right there? It's a very faint mark, but that is a mark. This is why we want to be careful. Oh, there it is. There it is. Let's see where those striations got crushed. That's a mark. So we'll do 4 strokes on that. There's one on 2, very clear. There's one on 3.
What?
I'm not too sure about 4 and 5. So we saw marks on 1, 2, and 3. So I'm going to attempt to take them down a full pin depth using my number 2 file. So I'll start off with pin 1 here, and I'm going to do 2 strokes first. And on the second stroke, I'm going to stop my file without lifting it, and we'll see how awful this thing looks. And then I'll finish up with some proper form of the filing. All right. So you can see that crosshatch pattern right there. That is what happens when you stop the file on the key. That's why you want to lift off towards the end of your stroke, so you avoid that. So let's see if I can move this up here. Normally do this a little closer to my body, but we'll do this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply some pressure. I'm going to constant velocity this way, and when I get towards where my finger is, I'm going to lift the file off. And there we go. That's our left to right. Right there. We no longer have the crosshatch. You can see those shavings hanging off. You can just use your finger on them. So you can just use your finger and scrub them off. So I said I was going to do 1, 2, and 3, and we are going to leave 4 and 5. And I believe it was 3 that was a little far back. Let me check and see where the mark is on 3, because I think that's one of the ones that needs to get moved a little bit. All right, so there's 2, and it's right in the middle. And 4, 5. Yeah, 3 is a little closer to the key bow. We can see it right there. We can see 2 marks right there. That's from the both movements that we did, the lifting from the back, lifting from the front. So we're going to try to make some cuts towards the keybow side of this initial cut on that one.
Wow.
And
Maybe.
that one looks pretty centered.
Yeah.
All right, now, if you had calipers, what you would do next, you measure your cuts. So I'm at a 3135, which is slightly below where a one cut is. And that's a 310 and a 31, another 310. So bit off a little too much there. I think we'll be okay. So repeat the process. Insert the key, get rid of that down, tension, rock, lift up, tension, rock.
No good.
And then this is just a rinse and repeat of this process over and over again until we get an open. So pin 2 has a good mark on it.
You cannot.
You can see it right there.
No,
All done. All
you're
done.
not letting my house on
All done.
fire. What?
All done.
What?
Pin 3 looks like it has a mark. Do we have anything for 4 or 5? Yeah, there's one on 4. And 5's got something. Okay. I think instead of switching views, I'm just going to do this. Okay, so we made 3 cuts on 1, 2, and 3 the first time. There's a pretty good mark on pin 2 for this one. And I think we're just going to do 1 pin this time and see if I can get some stronger marks on the others. All right. So we took 4 strokes out of pin 2. Got another nice mark on pin 2. You can see how it's kind of like to the back of where I'm filing right there. That's fine. It just, if your filing is off center, you can just apply pressure in the direction you need to go to help fix it. This is also where having that flat file can help, because we can, as this gets a little more extreme, we can file that down if we need to. So that's pin 1. I'm going to mark on 2. It's a faint 1 on 3. All right. When you have faint marks, sometimes what you can do is you can take some fine grit sandpaper and polish up. Or one of the things I like to do is I'll take my number 4 file here, and I'm going to make a couple of light strokes on each of these to polish them up and see what kind of marks I get out of it. So I'm going to polish this, show you what it looks all shiny like, and then we'll see if we can get some marks on those pins. Using the file, you have to be careful because the file actually removes brass, so you might end up polishing past where the set is, the actual pin height you need to be at. That's exactly right. You can progressively pin to learn how to impression. All right, so there's a good mark on pin 4. You can see that right there. And kind of something on pin 3 that also might be some dirt. So I'm going to use my finger. And see if it's still there. Yeah, see, that was some dirt, guys. So you need to be really careful. What's the rules here? Let me pull this up. Only file marks, file in one direction, consistent pressure on your file, and let the file while moving at the end of the stroke. Big rule right there, only file marks. So I'm going to file number 2. And I think 1, 2, 1, and 4. All right, rinse and repeat. Oh, I lost grip of the key. I don't know if you guys saw that. Yep, that's why I had no marks. So I need to tighten this some more. All right, we're gonna have a quiz for the class. You guys, tell me where's the mark. It's pin 1. There's pin 2. Pin 3. Pin 4. And There's 5.
I have to go.
4, 3, 2, and 1.
I got no idea on that one. It looks like pin 2 on the side there.
Yep.
But I suck at that, so maybe not.
So when you're trying to find marks, what you're looking for is disruptions in the uniformity of those horizontal lines from your filing, right? So there's that little imprint right there. So that's 2. The 3 kind of looks like it has something right there.
4 looks like it had a little dot too.
4 kind of looks like a hot mess. Yeah, so you can see little, so this is where changing your light helps. So I just rotate it around here. Let me see if I can focus this better.
Yeah, it looks like there's a dot right up on the back.
Yeah, it kind of looks like right in the middle, right there.
Oh yeah, there's one too. Yeah.
The thing I'm concerned
It's like one on the back on 5 or something.
Yeah, but the problem is so that's like right near like the tip of the bow, and sometimes just the key pins bouncing off of stuff.
Right.
Okay. So. All right, David. Hello, thanks for joining. So it looks like 2 and 3. I'm still really unsure about 4. I'll check that in a minute. The Joker says 3 and 4. So here's how our key's looking so far. So what I'm going to do to try to clean up 4 here is I'm going to take some of my sandpaper here. See if I can make that look less ugly, so we might be able to see something. You see me scratching my fingernail here because I'm trying to get all these brass shavings off. Oh, I see something on 5. Let's get this on the microscope. That is a new mark on 5 right there. You can see that on the edge. Right there.
Yeah.
And this is kind of how it goes. You're not going to chase one pin to completion. You're going to find a mark, take it down to the next cut, find other marks, take them down to the next cut, etc. Because similar to how picking lock, you get a binding order, impressioning, you also get a binding order. So it looks like pin 5 actually did something for us. We can see a little divot right there on pin 4. Can see that towards the back of the cut right there. So we'll just pay attention to that. Chuck Soup asked, does the binding order picking match the binding order impressioning? No. Because if you're, the best way to equate impressioning to picking as if all the pins were tapers, because you're essentially lifting, well, you start off with everything lifted and you're just slowly dropping them until they fit. Once you get into security pins, it gets really, really weird. But just like when you're picking things that are tapered, you're bouncing around all around the lock. And if you accidentally prematurely pick something, that might alter the binding order for that pick attempt. G Keyman says, it's the binding that marks the key, isn't it? Yes. I think that divot at 4 got a little bigger. I think 2 needs to go down some more. Maybe. We'll see.
Make me a list. I can print out cookies and I can glue them where you want them after.
All right. 2's making a good mark right there. We can see it's now moved to, so I got this U right there, and the mark has moved to kind of the back of the U there. So I'm going to try to bias my file a little bit towards the mark.
One of these times he's going to do that and it's just going to pop on open. Can't wait.
Yeah. one of the things that gets a little nerve-wracking is when, so number 2 is starting to get a little low cut there. Once I start getting low cut, so if you go past, if you cut the key pin too much, it starts binding again. Because when you lift all the way, the key pins are binding with the shear line. And then once you get past where the key pin driver meets, then the driver binds with the shear line. So you get marks, 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 and then they disappear. But if you accidentally filed too much, then you get more marks, and you keep on getting marks until you get to the bottom of your key. Yep, G Key Man just said exactly that. Oh, there's a good mark. This is what I'm talking about, the force transfer, folks. Some of my lock was starting to wobble around, so I tightened it up. That is a good mark right there.
Wish all of them were like that.
Yeah, there's a little one on 3. 4 and 5 have nothing. All right, so I'm going to cheat a little bit here. And I'm going to bring up my handy chart, and I'm going to check the depth on 4 and 3 and see how close I am to one of the cuts. So we will check for 242, which is really close to 245. Okay, so I probably need to take this down to 230. Then let's check pin 3. It's at 294. All right, so this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to take out my number 4 here, which can give me much smaller bites. And I'm going to take this 294 down to a 290. And then we'll take this. Oh, see, that's a 245. We'll leave the 240. No, because we had a mark, so we'll take it down. So we'll take the 245 down to 230, and we'll fix this one at 290 with the number 4. All right, that's 230. Okay, this is where we start getting nervous, folks, because this one's getting pretty deep. So we are already down to a number 7, and there's only 2 more cuts to go. So if we get all the way down to number 9, get 200, and there's still a mark there, that means that I cut too deep. And just to show folks what this looks like. So if we were to treat this like a puzzle a little bit, the more pins you have solved, the more force there is on the pins that are unsolved, which is why I think we are getting a very deep mark here on number 2. Number 1 looks like it has a mark. 1, 2, nothing on 3, nothing on 4. 5 is looking suspicious. But what are our rules again? Does anyone remember rule 1? Poll for the audience. Only file marks. So I'm not sure about that number 5 there. So we will just leave it. Certainly file 2. And I'll file 1. 1 and 2. Sweet. All right. So we can see we got a nice mark there on number 1. Our mark on 2 has disappeared. Little faint thing right there, but it wasn't as strong as it was before. If you're doing things right, the closer you get to the shear line, like the harder the pin binds. So the fact that number 2 was really deep and now it's not, it's good. So we're just gonna not touch 2. And 5 is still looking suspicious. So I'll probably get my sandpaper, smooth that one out a little bit. But we're certainly going to file 1 again. All right, I think we're getting somewhere. So one of the things I've noticed in pressuring locks is as you get some pins set, the lock starts to rattle a little bit. It's a little weird, but I think we've got a couple things taken care of. So we got a nice mark there on 1. I might measure that one and see where we are. Yeah, so I sanded 5 and there's nothing there. So that's good. 3 is looking a little suspicious, but we are going to measure 1, see where we are. See where we need to go. See how deep that is? That's a lot better than this little shadow on 3.
What is this though? What is this? Come here.
So that's 262. And our nearest cut is 260. I'll take just a couple thousandths off of it. See, Lady Locks keeps muting me. Do not trust my push to talk. Have I accidentally left my foot down?
It hasn't been working.
So, okay. Oh, I know what happened. Okay. So the OBS audio is, okay. You should have told me that.
No, I didn't want to disturb you when I could just do it for you. I didn't know if you forgot, and I didn't want to like bug you about it, so I was just doing it for you.
See, Steam Droid Cam C92, sure. Okay, motive mix virtual output. Okay, so got the virtual camera going. All right, well, I will let you continue doing that. I thought I had that licked.
Oh, we'll figure it out. We'll get it figured out some other time. This stuff is so complicated. You know how that is.
Yeah, okay. All right. So back to the camera. Now so I took that down, and now we got like a nice big divot right there. So that's good. So for 260, we'll take that to the next cut. I'm not going to touch 3. Ooh, we got a little something there on 5. We'll see.
Okay, now I think we can't hear you at all back there. Oh, there you are.
Checking to see if one of the other microphone outputs was correct for OBS. All right. All right, where are my marks at? think that might be 1 on 5, maybe. So yeah, this is really exciting, folks. I'm so sorry, 297. Where are we at? Okay. So we'll take that down to a 3 cut.
Hey, this is the reality of it, you know? You just got to keep going.
This is the frustrating part. Really frustrating. That's a 245. Okay. 225. All right. 220.
When I was doing it, I forgot to take out my measurements, and I don't have a chart like that. I'm gonna actually take a screenshot of that, or maybe you could send me a snapshot of that. I have a piece of paper I wrote them all down on but it was after I was done impressioning, and I'm like, I wish I had this. That would have been so amazing.
Oh, now I'm stuck. I have no idea where to go next.
Where's some of our OG impressionists here? What's up, Green Tolls? What's up, Nola?
Oh, we found a mark.
Where? I don't see it.
You see it?
No. Oh, is that it? Is that a mark? It looks like. Oh, yeah. I see it. I see her.
Okay.
Is there one on the next one too? I think I seen one on there too.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, there's a little one there on 4.
Okay. Make sure to wipe it just in case.
Right?
Yeah, that looks like it was clear. It looks like it was shiny though. Already. You got this, Vector. I have faith in you. You know how some of those schlegs are pinned really, really low in the middle. So I think you're on the right path. I have a good feeling.
All right, so I just cleaned the key off. We will check this again. That's 1, 2.
What's that on 2? Let's see 2 real quick. Is that something on the back, or is that just dirt? Looks like a little round spot though. Weird. No, maybe. I don't know.
It's hard to focus. Let me see if I can.
Nothing there. Definitely something there. That's definitely a mark there.
There's 3. 4. I can see that little thing.
Yeah, I
there,
can
but
see that little dot. Yeah, but I hate this part because now you're like, did I overfile? Or are these just like, because you could be chasing this till it's all the way down. At least you know the bottom though. if you go too far. But yeah, it looked like there definitely was a mark on what was that, 3 and 4.
All right, so that's
I agree.
287. So either I overfiled a 3 cut or there should be a 4. So we'll just go ahead and take it on down.
Jackrabbit, don't feel bad. It's really hard to do this. I had to put 2 pair of glasses on, look through the jeweler's loop. Like, I was a hot mess. Come on, come on, come on. There. Did it go? It went?
That was it.
Fuck yes! Oh my god, I knew it! Yes! Woohoo!
There you go. So that's
Congratulations, that was badass! Oh my god!
that only took us an hour and a half.
Dude, that was great.
All right, so now we have to clean this up some.
Legendary, that's right.
So a lot of times when you get that open, you just kind of like,
see where it's scraped.
you-
It looks like it looks scraped right there just to get the rest of the way.
yeah,
That's
yeah, right
nice.
there. Right there. So if you were doing an impressioning competition, that would have been sufficient. But if you actually want to make a key, sometimes you end up having to clean it up.
Lockchuck panic followed with joy.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah,
just
so
earned
I'm-
secret spy status, Dean said. Vector's a goddamn fine Jedi.
And, come on. What else? What else isn't quite right? Is that number 2? And then if you're trying to like, sit here and make the perfect key, then you end up just like over-filing accidentally that the key doesn't work anymore. See, so number 2 says it wants to go on, but one of the cool things you can do now that we've made a key that works, right? You can do this. And we can gut the lock, right? Because we know how to do that because we're awesome.
Oh, yeah.
So we can get our handle off. High paracentric. There we go. Come on. What am I hung up on? There we go. Okay, so I was totally prepared for this too. All right, so now we can gut it and we'll see just how far off we are because we have a key. Out. All right. So looks like I overfiled on pin 5. The focus. Yep, overfiled on pin 5. Everything else is
Nice
about right.
job, man. Well, if you push it in, it kind of pops up, right?
Yeah.
It looks like it pops up the height. So, I mean,
that's what happens sometimes. And like when you're impressioning, you get it open and you want to use the key again, you might find that like, you need to
make it do a couple
wiggle
adjustments.
a little bit. Cool. So that's hard key impressioning in a nutshell.
Very great job, man.
I hope this was informative for people.
Absolutely. It was absolutely informative. This is a great job. I should have made a banner, but sometimes that slows down the picture. Just I only pay $50 a month for Streamyard, but it really doesn't work very good. So,
Right.
but whatever. It people knew what you were doing.
Cool. Well, I have a whole bag of other locks here, but I think dinner is ready here.
Yeah.
So we can probably return to your regular programming.
Well, I think actually I don't really have anything unless anybody wants to hop on and pick. Let me know in the chat.
Great job. Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Lockchuck. This is just like picking locks live, just doing it live and having to explain yourself while you're doing it. Makes it
Yeah, now
weird.
you really made me want to get out my stuff and I might try it again. Because I think I always overtensioned and I really was just going way too hard at everything when I did it. And my just everything, like the whole thing was just a mess. I was a mess. But the more you go, the more you get nervous. Like Lockchuck says, you're like get totally panicked, like, oh no. Like you start making mistakes and things like that. It's terrible. Let me see what people are saying on Discord here. Oh yeah, thank you to G Keyman and Wild Billiam for these depth charts. I'm pinning these so that I can always remember because I don't want to mess that up. Oh shit, and Wild Billiam got all kind of links. You're the shit. Oh my gosh. Thank you. I need to add these onto the
I have a PDF that has most common stuff. It's like 30 or 40 pages long.
Yeah, this is great.
Lockchuck, you're funny.
Let's see. I'm going to go in and add these right now, matter of fact, so that we have them. I just got to go to the studio. And give me a second, peoples. Let's see. Content. Find the live stream. Oh, goodness. No, I don't want to help you improve YouTube. Thank you. Okay. Let's see. All right. I'm going to put it right here, starting with these links here. Thank you so much to Wild Billion for sending me these daggone links. Copy.
And even if you get some of these impressioning supplies and you don't find yourself enjoying the art of impressioning, having some files to cut your own keys with is kind of nice, especially for like a challenge lock or if I have a pile of these and I want to turn them into training locks for like a locksport meetup, I can just grab my key blanks and figure out a common pin between all the pins that are in here and just cut some keys. So at a minimum, having some files helps. And if you get the plug out, you can just set it in a plug holder and see how the key sits in there and just file, put the key back in, and wait for the driver or the key pins to be flush. Show some ankle vector. Well, I would, Nola, but it might traumatize Stu, and he's my friend, so.
I like that digital microscope thingy too.
Yeah, it is surprisingly good for how cheap it is. Like it is like all plastic, and you think like, no way, this thing can actually do anything. Well, it does a pretty good job. As long as it doesn't show the foot, you're good.
Yeah. That was really nice. I really think that's amazing to have that for impressioning 100%.
Let's take a look at the top of a multi-lock.
Key depth, key spacing and depth specifications. Jeez. Okay. Key. Jeez. That's a mouthful to type. All right. Paste. Okay, what else do we got? Thank you, Wild Billion, for all these. I appreciate that. And I'm pinning this one too. Pin that. All right. Yeah, so a huge shout out to those guys for
So
all
we
the
can
links.
also-
So everybody can find this stuff if they want to find it. You know, they want to do that.
Vigasu wants to know when we're going to impressions in 1100s. I have 2 here. I've made several attempts at them, and I've been unsuccessful.
Yeah, it's definitely different when you are doing security pins too. I know there's a couple of different things you got to look out for. You know, there's different things like that too. That different marks and different kinds of like sometimes they're off, sometimes they're like on the sides, and sometimes like it's really weird when you're doing different security pins.
So Picksmith's
Nola, you're an asshole.
Picksmith's recommendation for the 1100s was to be very precise with your measurements and only go from one cut to another.
I think we might be related. Me and Nola.
Yeah, wobbly cores. Yeah, I hate that. So I had a keyless thumb turn lock that I got from someone. It was a Y1. I impressioned that one. I think it had a spool or 2 or something in it, and that wasn't too terrible. It did not have a wobbly core like in 1100. All right, folks. Well, I am hungry and I need to eat. Otherwise, I'm going to get hangry. You guys don't want me when I'm hangry.
No, we don't want hangry back there. Hell no. You're terrifying when you're hangry. We don't need that. I'm just kidding. No, we don't want you to go hungry. But yeah, I think we're just going to call it for a night. That's perfect. I think it would be a great stopping point so people who are watching this for the impressioning can just have the impressioning piece of it. And I appreciate you doing this because it's very informative. And, you know, if you want, I can try to figure out how to download this. And what I should have figured out. Did you record it from your side, Vector?
No.
No, shit. I wonder if it.
I
know it records
I have
online,
YouTube
but
Premium. I should be able to download the whole thing.
yeah. So if you want to download it and then just upload it to yours, I'm not going to strike it or anything. So you can just upload it to yours if you want to have it on yours. You know what I mean? So that way it's there for anybody on your channel.
Because my channel's so popular.
Well, you know, if people know Vector did this lesson, they might be heading on over to watch it. You know. But okay, I got a link to the microscope. Okay, Wild Billiam sent me that. I can send you a link, Chuck. Let's see.
Vector, you can screen record it. Yeah, normally I record myself a copy of these live streams, but I was like, I don't like need this for points or anything. I'm not going to record, so I didn't.
It figures the one day you want to put it on there and then record. That's how it goes, though. No, we figured out. If you can't download it, let me know. We can figure something out. But I put that link on Discord, Chuck, and also all the links are in the description of this video now. So if you want anything, the files, all that. I don't know if you have a special round file or something that you have, Vector, or is it just out of a file set that you use?
No, mine are Grobe Swiss cut files.
Yeah, I remember mine being a special file. It was like $38, the one I bought for it. So
yeah, the important thing is getting the round files that are this big, because these files are a lot cheaper. The needle files, and you can use them for impressioning, but you're gonna have a bad time. And there's another profile called a Pippin, which is kind of teardrop shaped. And some people like to use those for impressioning. I don't have one. I can't say whether or not they're any good, but some people use them and like them. Some people don't care for them.
Ew, swish, ain't we posh?
Yeah. Well, I don't
but
know. I don't know the origin of why it's called a Swiss cut, but it's certainly not an American first cut or second cut.
I don't know.
So it's some mechanical engineer somewhere can probably explain it a lot better than I can. It's like my flat file did not use my flat file. This is an American second cut, which is more fine than a first cut. But it's certainly not a Swiss cut. So anyway, I'm going to sign off. I am starving. Thanks for hosting me. Thanks everyone for sticking around. Hopefully this inspired some people to try this out. After the live tonight, if people want links to where I got my tools from, I'll drop them in the Lady Locks Discord.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, if you can, that'd be great. But I did post a few in the thing. So, but yeah, thank you so much, Vector. This was really, really cool of you. I appreciate everybody for popping in and hanging out with us. And this was great. I can't believe he got it open like that. He's a boss. All right. So yeah, thank you guys all for hanging out. I appreciate you being here. Thank you again to Vector for this amazing lesson on impressioning. And again, the links are in the description if anybody needs anything. And we will see you guys on the next one.